Okay, hello, drift people. Here's another crack at giving as much information as possible as quickly as I can. Today I'm going to talk about the forbidden endpoints. This is an unconventional way of setting up your gyro and steering endpoints on your RC drift car that goes against sort of the conventional and common method of setting up the endpoints. And it has some risks and it has some benefits. So first of all, I'm going to say use at your own risk, because basically what we're going to do here is set up our servo to just slam the steering all the way up against the endpoint and hold it there. So my Revox RS ST Pro hasn't had any problems with that, but use at your own risk. If you have a high torque servo, it might not be a good idea. But I have a couple cars set up this way and they're all doing fine and haven't cooked out the servos. So basically, as you know, the conventional method of setting up your steering endpoints is you'll go into your transmitter, you'll find the value that places the steering like gently up against the endpoint without really pushing into it too hard. And then you'll go into your gyro setup, and then you'll, teach the gyro that the endpoints are there and there. I think the reason behind that method of doing it is that it protects the servo from facing immovable resistance. I think it does make sense. Like, you don't want that thing just pushing. But what I've found is that these drift servos don't seem to care that much. So the forbidden endpoints are there's gonna be some benefits for doing it against the conventional method. So conventional method, your steering endpoints will be like not 100 usually. They'll be like usually between like 70 and 90 is what I typically see. But the forbidden endpoints, we're just going to set steering endpoints right and left all the way to 100. We don't care about going past the endpoint. In fact, we want to go past the endpoint. And then the channel 3 endpoint, that setting that value above 100, it basically tricks the gyro into thinking that you have more steering range than you really do. And that will cause the gyro to push the steering up against the endpoint and hold it there. So why do you want that? Why do you want to be able to slam the endpoint and hold it? Well, there's a lot of aggressive driving scenarios where that's beneficial. And, it lets you basically flick in more aggressively with more angle and have the car carry that angle and recover from it rather than spinning out. The other thing is that by setting your steering endpoint to 100, you are giving an unfiltered steering input, because by reducing the endpoint, you're basically putting like a percent damper on the whole steering range. So say if you have your endpoint at 80, that is effectively like an 80% reduction on your steering inputs. So that reduces your ability to override the gyro. And we want to be able to let the gyro do its thing and stabilize the car, but we also want to be able to override it with our steering inputs to do stuff. So to transition, to chase, to do all the things. So basically we want to be able to override the gyro, but we also want the gyro to be able to take over and flick hard angle and hold hard angle. So that's what these, I'm calling them the forbidden endpoints, do. They just give the car a lot more of a tendency to slam at full lock, hold it at full lock, and keep it there when you need it. And so that lets you just enter in, like, you can do more backies, you can do more, like I said, more hard flick entries. It also will just increase your transition speed and your flick speed because, like I said, you're getting more steering input. You're overriding the gyro a little bit better. And so you're able to steer faster and rotate the car faster. So the effect of these endpoints is it'll make your car a little bit more difficult to drive at first because your steering will become a lot more responsive. But once you learn to use it, you're going to gain access to a lot more aggressive driving behaviors. Like, it's going to really feel like it unlocks the car and allows you to just kind of catch any angle. I'm doing this with a Revox gyro, but I have used these endpoints on Yokomo gyros and also on the AGFRC gyro. Like there was somebody in the track who just recently brought one of those in, and we tried these settings and they worked great. So use at your own risk, but so far I've had no failures. Just check the temper of your servo, and if you feel like it's getting hot, then maybe reconsider. But I've not had any problems with that across a bunch of different types of servos and a bunch of different types of gyros. So got to thank Ryan Cotto for this one. He drove my car like 2 laps a few months ago and was like, oh, your electronics are holding you back. He showed me this. It totally opened up the car and made it feel like I could finally like hold deep angle and do a lot of things that I was wondering why other people were able to do them and I couldn't. So thank you, Ryan Cotto. All this was, I'm just regurgitating what he taught me. So, building on the shoulders of giants here. But anyways, try these settings out. Let me know if they work. There's probably even more to this that I have yet to learn. Like, like one detail I forgot to mention is that the channel 3 endpoint, play with the range between like a value above 100% all the way in between, all the way to the maximum value. Like my transmitter lets me raise it all the way up to 120. I personally didn't like it at 120. I've got mine at like 112 and it feels good there. So play around with the channel 3 endpoint. That kind of, I can't exactly describe exactly what that does in terms of like, okay, 120 will feel this way, 105 will feel that way. Just play with it yourself and get a feel for it. But basically that's going to be like how early does the gyro set the steering to full lock? How early in the drift? I believe that's kind of what the channel 3 endpoint is going to do. But anyway, I know I have a lot more to learn on this, so please feel free to let me know. But yeah, forbidden endpoints, unconventional way of setting it up, but it's actually easier too. You don't have to do all that fine tuning of like getting the transmitter endpoint adjustment perfect. You just like, you don't care. Let it slam the endpoint. That's what we want. Yeah, try it out. Have a good day. Bye.